We're live.
Yay, we're here.
We're here. Week 2.
hmm Yeah, it's a lot easier getting on this time than last time, too.
Much easier. Okay. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm really good. How about yourself?
It's been a good day.
Yeah,
It's been better.
productive, a
Um,
productive one.
hmm?
I said, hopefully, a productive one.
Yes. Very productive. Um, what shall we chat about?
I don't know. I think um, we were kind of throwing around the idea of like just maintaining your sanity, your mental headspace, your self care, all of that.
I think that's especially important to talk about um,
Yes.
with everything that's going on. Hey, Jess. Oh, it's so much better on the laptop. I can actually see the comments today instead of being on my phone. I had to keep clicking back and forth on the phone. So much better.
Yeah,
But yeah, with everything that's going on right now, I think mental health might be a good thing to talk about.
I agree, and I think that um, it's especially with what's going on right now in the world, it can be so hard because we feel like we can't completely unplug from what's going on. Like we want to be informed, we want to be involved, but it's really about measuring your own balance um, and just knowing that it's okay to take that step back for yourself because you can't sacrifice your own mental health or well-being for the sake of a cause or the sake of the world.
I think the one thing I don't want to use the word permission, but maybe that might be the only word that comes to mind. But I think maybe internally, but I know I've heard people talking about almost guilting people into like you have to be present, you have to be part of it all the time.
Yeah,
And especially if you're an empath, that's a lot. That's a lot to take on just 24 hours a day. So I think it's important to know like it's okay to take time to yourself.
hmm
Um, you don't have to be immersed in all of this 24/7.
yes, and maintaining your energy, making sure because especially if you are an empathic person and you're absorbing that energy, you can't just walk around with it on you and expect that you're going to be okay. Like you have to make the time and make the mental effort to cleanse that energy.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking about it earlier today that words are so powerful. And so with a lot of the movement that's going on right now, the chanting of "I can't breathe," and it is a very powerful statement, and I understand why that is being done. But we're seeing people who are literally just having anxiety attacks, allergy attacks, all kinds of things, and literally cannot breathe. Um, and I
I
don't think,
know of two people within the past week that have had that happen.
yes,
Strangely enough.
yes, and I don't think that that is by coincidence. I don't.
Yeah, I think I saw a meme
hmm
or someone had created something on Facebook talking about it's literally a spell
Yeah,
at this point. Um, it's a mantra that's being chanted, um, which bringing attention to what's going on is important, but at the same time, being aware of what you're allowing to come into your own aura and energy field is important.
yeah, for sure. So, what is some of your favorite ways of cleansing your energy space or your aura when you've taken on too much?
I think for me, I just have to go full hermit mode. I
Yeah.
have to shut everything down, shut everything off. If it's not one of my children and they're not in, need of something, I kind of just have to stay to myself for a while. And I watch funny stuff. As basic as that probably sounds, I know for me, just something that doesn't require me to think
Yeah.
helps a lot. Candles help.
Yeah.
I'm trying more meditation, but sometimes, depending on my energy, if I'm too overwhelmed, meditation gets very difficult in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
So, which probably means I need to work on it more. But yeah, I kind of go the exact opposite route from my spirituality when I'm really overwhelmed. What about you?
For me, I think I'm more on the meditation spectrum when it comes to really just centering myself and channeling my energy. I'm able to really pull myself back in a lot of cases. Another would be grounding. There's moments where if it's just too much, I don't care who's around, I would take my shoes off. I would just walk out and grab my phone and walk out the door, and I would just go plop myself in the front yard and sit there as long as I need to. Or really, it doesn't even have to be my front yard, anywhere. Just somewhere where like my body is making complete contact with the ground. Just because I feel like it's so anchoring. And I don't know, I kind of think of the earth, like the soil, almost like in the way you would clay. So like as I sit there, I just imagine that I'm sitting on this clay earth, and it's just like pulling all of the toxins or all of the negative energy out of my body,
Yeah.
the way that a clay mask would your pores.
Yeah.
Bathing can be very helpful, not just in the sense of being hygienic, but I do sometimes need to just put some herbs together and take myself a spiritual bath. Something that I've been doing recently, the past few days, is not only, we talk about, sage or smudge your house, get rid of the heavier energies, but we don't think about the fact that when we are releasing or, smudging those energies away, we're not putting anything in place of them.
That's big.
So, something that I like to do is I'll take like essential oils, different citrus fruits, maybe some rosemary, cinnamon, and I'll put it on my stove and I'll just boil it.
Good idea.
A lot of citrus fruits have, like, so grapefruit, bergamot, orange, tangerine, lemon, they all have very high vibrational energy to them. So by boiling them and letting their essence get into the steam and out into the air, then I'm filling the house with positive energy. And that, not only is it like aromatherapy, because it smells really good. So a lot of people like the way that, like Williams and Sonoma smells. Have you ever walked in there?
Oh, yeah. It's nice.
If you were to take lemon, rosemary, a cinnamon stick, and a couple cranberries and boil them, your house will smell like Williams and Sonoma.
I never would have thought about the cranberries. I think the bath, when I had a bath I could take a bath in, that was I don't know. I always like thought of them as like my goddess baths.
Yeah.
Fill it with flower petals and have my candles and put oils in the bath and orange slices. I did orange slices a lot. You just have to clean up really well afterwards because it's a mess, but it's nice. I wish I could do that now. I think that's something I kind of took for granted, was having the ability to take a bath.
Yeah. You don't think about it, so you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I ended up doing for my spiritual baths is going to the dollar store and getting like this cheap strainer with a handle.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep it in the bathroom because I literally only use it to strain herbs and flower petals and whatever else out of the bathtub.
See, I have one of those like little strainer thing you put in the drain.
Yeah.
You just catch everything. It worked pretty well. Have to empty it a few times, but I like the strainer idea. That's smart. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I was doing yoga for a while. That definitely helped, especially like right before bed.
Mm-hmm. Was there a type of yoga that you liked?
Sometimes the yin yoga, but I normally would just search. I love Yoga with Adriene on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, I absolutely love her energy, and she has a lot of just bedtime type routines. So
I think I've seen one of her videos before.
What was that?
I said, I think I've seen one of her videos before. She was talking about how you could do the bedtime yoga in your bed.
That might have been her. I know she's all for like, be comfortable, come as you are, and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
That might have been her. She's always telling you to grab a pillow, grab a blanket. So she helped a lot. I like her.
Yeah, I love yin yoga. One of my go-to methods if I don't have a bathtub is a foot bath. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately because the bottom of our feet are such big energy receptors. Like, they're so open.
Yeah.
Which is why, you see a lot of the detox foot baths and stuff like that, because you really can get a lot of energy exchange through the bottom of your feet.
Mm-hmm. I know you and I talked about the whole journaling thing. Does journaling help you when you're going through a particularly difficult situation?
Oh, for sure. I am an avid journaler. I have so many journals all over the place for all types of things. And writing does help me, but that's because I tend to be a person who best express myself outwardly. Outside, even though I am what would be considered more of an introvert, my feelings are best processed when I express them outside of myself. And sometimes you feel things that, or you can't even put into words, or you aren't really ready to share with other people.
Right.
And I'll just write it all down. As of lately, I've been doing a lot of shadow work, and just allowing the process to take me where it wants to. Just letting a topic pop up and really just laying into it, and then going as deep as it'll let me go. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable. And one thing I will say, as far as the journaling and shadow work goes, using a tarot or an oracle deck has been so beneficial to me when it comes to that. Only because sometimes when it is harder emotions and I'm not really sure about how I formulate that into words, or what I'm even trying to express, I will just pull a couple cards for the feeling and sit with them. Like, what does this say to me? What is hidden here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even really so much about the actual meanings of the cards. Sometimes the meanings help, but it's really about putting myself in that place and saying, what do I see there? And I've found some pretty remarkable things. Like, they were complete light bulb moments.
I was gonna ask you about the whole working with your decks as far as the shadow work goes. So
Yeah. So I actually have the one I've been using right here.
I was gonna ask you if you brought it.
So this is the Shadowland Tarot, and if you were with us or watched last week's, then you've already seen it. But a lot of people are really, let you see the backs, these cute little backs. It's glaring, but a lot of people really like it, and it's not necessarily my typical style, but when I went ahead and took the leap, I just felt like it was what I needed in the moment. I felt really called to focus in on some shadow work, and I know that I enjoy using divination to kind of extend or to push me further.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular guidebook comes with reflection questions, but you don't even necessarily need a guidebook for the reflection questions. I actually went on Pinterest the other day, and this woman, I can't remember her name. Let me pull it up. Her name is Kelly Ann Maddox, and she put together an awesome PDF. I don't know you personally, Kelly Ann, but I appreciate you. It's a Google Drive PDF, and it's 25 heavy-duty shadow work journal prompts, a gift from me to you for the journey. And so she tells you a little bit about shadow work if it's something you've never really done before. And then it just kind of goes into the questions. So how judged do you tend to feel on a daily basis? Explore this perceived judgment. Is it real? How much of it is imaginary? It goes on, and she'll ask why, and so it's just an ongoing. It's almost like a conversation with your darker bits that you don't want anyone to see.
Right.
What shadow work is about accepting and integrating the parts of yourself that are found to be unacceptable or undesirable traits as far as society goes. So
for some reason, the words devil's advocate just popped into my head. Like you're playing your own devil's advocate in your head.
Yes. And so what we don't realize is that when we splinter ourselves in that way, where it's like, oh no, I am all these things, but some of these things are not acceptable and I can't be them, or these are not acceptable feelings, I can't have them. We end up splintering ourselves, and then you have this turbulence inside of your being, and it'll react in your life in many different ways, and in certain ways or shapes and forms. Your shadow is really just trying to protect you. A lot of times when we act out of our shadow, sometimes your shadow is mean,
right?
Because your shadow is afraid of you getting hurt. Sometimes your shadow is emotionless. It's just completely shut down emotionally. Probably because your shadow doesn't want you to have to feel uncomfortable emotions. Right. The shadow of fear isn't really about holding you back. It's not that you want to self-sabotage. Your shadow is afraid of what's on the other side. Like, can we do this? Well, I don't want us to have to deal with the repercussions if we can't. So let's just not. Does that make sense?
It does. It reminds me a lot of discussions I've heard about knowing when it's your ego talking and when it's your intuition, and how you need your ego. Your ego is actually there to protect you in a lot of ways, or get you to a better point, or like there is reasons to keep your ego, but you have to be in control of it. It can't control you. So I almost wonder if the shadow work aspect is almost recognizing your more egoic traits and being able to control them.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent you're right on point with that. It is because some of your shadow will present itself as ego, because ego is the facade that we wear.
Right.
And then there's the underbelly of that, which is always the soft, sensitive part that
hurts
and you don't want anyone to see. So if I was to take one of these questions off of Kellyanne's prompt, and let's say I may know that I feel, this feeling of judgment. So it's like, okay, I acknowledge that I feel this, but I may lack the words to explain why I feel it, or even how much of it is myself, because I'm in the driver's seat. So as so many times, when you're so close, you can't see it.
Right.
So you have to kind of take a step back, and that's what the cards do for me. They allow me to take a step back. So I would shuffle on that. I would pull on that. Okay, I may pull one. Typically I pull three. But I'll sit with that. And so how often do I feel judged on the daily basis, and why, or how much of it is real? Okay, well, we have discretion, the Hanged Man, and the Four of Wands. If this was something that I was genuinely sitting with, I may look at this like, okay, so what do I see? What am I feeling when I look at this? Where does that uncomfortableness lie inside of me? Because it's really about chasing the discomfort. And I may end up looking at this and say, you know what? I feel judged for not doing enough, because, this owl's flying, but it's in reverse. So there's like blocked energy there. This guy's a bat, he's hanging upside down. And these two little spiders are on their little stable web. And I may feel like, oh, I need to be like the spiders. I need to get to that point where I'm doing these things and I'm not doing enough. I feel judged because I feel like I'm not doing enough. Well, okay, then I would pull again. I'd shuffle again. I may leave all of these or maybe one of these out as a signifier, and then I would shuffle again. How much of this is me? How much of this is real? Which, okay, Five of Pentacles right here. And actually, I think that this card right here is actually a perfect example of why this is a great shadow work deck, because it's like Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and he's got this river between him and the other people over there with their fire, and they have food and sleeping bags and cars, and they have community, and they have everything that they need, and he's just over here like sulking, like, well, I wish I had a hot dog. I wish I had a tent. I wish I had friends. And so if this was to come out, I would be like, no, this is me. It's because they're living their lives over there on the other side. I'm looking at what other people are doing and projecting that onto myself. So then you'd have to take it a step further and say, okay, why do I do that?
Right.
And that's where the magic happens, because when you can identify why something is happening, you can course correct it.
Right.
And there's even been moments where I didn't really know how to fix what I found, and I would pull again and feel almost like the light bulb went off over my head. I feel like I went on a really long tangent. I'm sorry.
No, it was really good. I don't know. I've been curious why it is that I felt the need to get the deck I got that was supposed to be for shadow work. I don't know. I feel like Shadowland seems to fit perfectly for that purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess maybe I need to actually start using my deck.
Yeah. And you know, there's a YouTuber, hopefully I don't butcher her name. If I butcher your name, I'm so sorry. I love you. Her name, I think it's Zen Little Crone or Zen Crone, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually did a whole video about Carl Jung and shadow work and tarot in the Tarothon 2020 that just happened at the end of May. And she said something along the lines of sometimes using your cards for shadow work can simply be about going through the deck and seeing what images feel confronting to you. So as you're going through your cards, like which ones make you uncomfortable? I know for the longest time, the Justice card and me, we had beef. It stalked me, and I was very uncomfortable with Justice. I didn't know what she wanted from me, and I wanted her to go away. But if in that moment I had that theory in my head, like, oh, this image is confronting and it makes me uncomfortable. Why am I uncomfortable with it? What's behind this? And I think that in particular, the deck that you got, I don't know if you should show some of the imagery if you're okay with that.
I'm actually, I was just thinking about that. Most of these cards make me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like some are beautiful. So this is the Mystical Garbage deck is the name of this. Like this card, I love.
The unicorn.
And that is the Magician.
Okay.
Wow, that glare is so bad. Better. So like that's beautiful. I love that. And then we have, well, I'll do this one. So I'm not a zombie person. Just putting that out there. That might be really hard for some people to take. But this,
yeah,
for some reason that makes me very uncomfortable.
Zombie baby.
It's the Six of Cups.
Yeah.
This one, I know you and I talked about it a little. This is the Hermit card. And to me, maybe because I feel that the Hermit card does represent me so much.
Yeah.
This particular interpretation of the Hermit card upset me a little bit. Yeah. Because to me, this is not a representation of Hermit energy, of what I want Hermit energy to be.
It's not a wise old crone.
No, this is very much broken and bruised and battered and in withdrawal.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a very good reason why Spirit wanted me to get this deck.
Yeah.
To work with.
Which, not to blast you, but that is kind of what you just said that you do when you are energetically overloaded.
Which is true. Yeah. And to me, I choose to paint this this beautiful rainbow colored light on my Hermit mode. It is this is me. This is my time for myself. This is time to reflect and rejuvenate. When in reality, a lot of the times it's me tucking my tail between my legs and hiding. So here's the Emperor.
Oh.
So that's the Emperor. And here's the Empress, of course.
Yes, the Yoni.
Which this is giving me serious like Mother Mary vibes.
You know what? I was just thinking that with the way the labia
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how the clitoris has like the little head, like it's her face. And then she has the whole halo thing going on. I really like this card. I thought that was really interesting. But some of these are quite triggering. And some are incredibly beautiful. See if anything else jumps out at me.
And you know, I think that is what makes things art. The idea that some are just incredibly beautiful and others are so very triggering. And the shadow work is getting beneath the trigger.
Right.
Which I think that you're going to have a lot of fun with when you really like settle down into doing that.
I think once I actually bond with this deck a little better, I think it will bring me a lot of insight. I'm just looking through to see what pops out. I want to show you the Justice card in this deck. You're talking about her.
Me and Justice were beefing for so long. Oh my God, it was so bad.
I feel like the way it's interpreted in this deck says a lot. Yeah, there's some cards in here I hadn't seen yet since I was so upset when I got it.
Yeah.
Anything else calling me right now? No. Oh, a cricket. I love crickets.
They're good luck.
You can never find them anymore. So here's the Justice card in this deck.
Ooh. Okay. It's the Poppy or the voodoo doll.
Why is there someone at my door with a light? Interesting. Yeah, I thought this one has the little pins in it and everything.
Yeah, it's like almost like like taking the justice into your own hands.
Wish you could see the colors better on here. So this one wasn't triggering. I just thought this is a Temperance card.
That's beautiful. I love that, especially how I choose to look at Temperance. Yeah.
What is your interpretation of Temperance?
You know, I see all the logistical meanings of like patience and moderation, but to me, Temperance is about alchemy.
Okay.
It's that moment where it's like you know what didn't work before, and you take a little something new and you blend it together. You take what worked and what didn't, and you blend it to make something that's newer and better than it was before.
Okay.
And yeah, so I could see how all the moon phases and then the meditative body with all the colors running through it, it definitely screams, you know, self-alchemy to me.
I think that's spot on. I know for me, every time I hear Temperance, I think of tempering, like eggs or chocolate. So it's very much, it's a very delicate balance. But I thought that card was really awesome.
Yeah.
These other three, This one I really liked. Can you see it?
I sort of kind of, okay, not, there we go. Okay.
So her head is a Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube.
And
Yeah.
it's the Two of Swords. So, like, I liked the imagery with that of being like your brain's literally a puzzle right now.
Yeah.
Being very conflicted. This one, I haven't been able to. Maybe you'll have some better insight into why the imagery might have been chosen for this. But this is the Two of Pentacles.
The Two of Pentacles. Okay. So this person, this skeleton person, is binding their chest, or at least a piece of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly it has to do with like the duality of the masculine and the feminine.
Okay.
I'm going to be like the very masculine face, and yes, I have a breast, but I'm going to bind my chest because I am not one or the other. I am both.
And they have the Mars tattoo.
Yeah. That is very interesting.
That's probably one of the most confusing ones I've seen. Like I didn't quite.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what she writes in the guidebook.
Yeah, I wonder how long it'll take for the guidebook to come out. But and I loved this one.
Oh, that one, yeah.
The Three of Swords.
Yeah.
This is probably the best representation of Three of Swords that I've ever like felt drawn to in a deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely. I'm sure we will work together a lot. I would really like to see her interpretation of some of these, especially how many gender swaps there is in this.
Yeah.
But still a really pretty deck.
It's beautiful, and I think that it's definitely triggering. And I think that it'll definitely have some gifts in there for you, some tokens.
Oh, I'm sure. What else? I feel like we should try to cut this off in an hour today if we can.
I agree.
What, 3+ hours last time?
Yeah. But I felt like that was because of the supermoon, and
yeah,
we were just vibing, and I think that on special events like that, like a new moon or a supermoon or something like that, we can make a little extra time, but we have to maintain balance. So
I agree. So what else did we talk about?
I think that it would be good to kind of bring up like how, I guess the words that I'm looking for are somewhere along the lines of how you know when it is time to give yourself that permission to take care of yourself.
You mean before you explode or do something reckless?
Yeah.
I feel like you really have to know yourself pretty well to even get to that point.
Yeah, I think that there has to be a lot of, maybe not self-knowledge, but just overall observation, like being very keen and like paying attention to little things, because I find that little things add up. Before you implode, there is typically like 5 or 6 little things that were like almost a hairline trigger for you, and you feel them, but then it's like that one thing that probably wasn't even that big that pushed you over the edge.
Right.
So just kind of checking in with yourself and having that moment, like, am I is my anger justified right now? Am I overly emotional? Have I taken care of my basic needs today?
Right.
Because, excuse me, we so easily get swept up in life. We'll forget to do something as simple as drink water or eat. Or you look up and you haven't slept in 36 hours because you've been going, and or you couldn't sleep the night before, and all of those things wear on your body. And I find that for me in particular, everyone's different, but for me, I know that things that I'm being disturbed if my sleep becomes erratic. If I'm just like, I don't know why I can't sleep. I'm perfectly awake. Like, no, you are hypervigilant and you need to figure out why. But really just checking in with yourself the way you would check in with almost your child. And that kind of goes into mothering yourself, because a lot of times we feel like once we're grown, like, oh, I'm a grown woman, or I'm a grown man, I don't need taken care of anymore. Or you may even come from a background where you never were really nurtured or mothered. And that is the case for some people. So like they are probably like, well, I wasn't like coddled and nurtured then. Like I'm fine. I don't need that. But there comes a point in your adult life where you have to start mothering yourself, and loving on yourself. Did you eat today? Did you sleep today? What is it that you need? I ask myself that maybe like 3 or 4 times a day. Brittany,
Really?
Yeah. What is it that you need?
I think that that's probably something. I know it's something I still struggle with, but I don't think I even started doing that until very recently.
Yeah.
And I still have a hard time doing it. Like it has to be usually a lot of bad things will happen before I do have the awareness to think, okay, you're kind of spiraling right now. You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what you said was right, as far as not having that growing up. Like that was you get very conditioned to not being cared for.
Yeah.
And not being a strong, independent woman, whatever. But it gets to the point where you keep on trucking, you keep going, like things just have to get done. And I know, especially when you have younger babies, like probably under the age of 3, there's a lot of times I remember going the entire day and it being like 10 o'clock at night and realizing I didn't eat anything all day. And it's one of those things, if you're not checking in with yourself, it will be 10 o'clock at night before you're finally realizing, like, did I eat today? I don't know. Did I? No, you didn't. And it's another one of those giving yourselves permission kind of thing. You have to give yourself permission to be cared for, even from yourself.
More so from yourself, because we're conditioned to care for others.
Right.
Putting yourself first is seen as selfish, and nobody wants to come across as selfish. But what I have learned the hard way is that if I don't put myself first, I suffer. And when I suffer, my husband will suffer, my children will suffer, my friends and my work will suffer. And ain't nobody got time for that. I do not have time for that. So I will be put first. I will ask myself, as many times I need to throughout the day. What is it that you need?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's as simple as I need 15 minutes of silence. I need a cup of tea. I need to eat a sandwich so that I can go on with my day. Um, or I just need to turn the phone off and ignore everybody. And all of those
Self-maintenance.
are valid.
It's a lot easier to keep something maintained when you check on it often. When you let your car run and run and run until it breaks down on the side of the road, it's a lot harder to fix it at that point. When if you would have just changed the oil and put air in the tires, it probably wouldn't have blew up.
Yeah.
So we kind of treat ourselves the same way. And I know with me, I know there's environmental triggers as well, but I have a ton of autoimmune issues and nerve issues, and I do think a lot of that was created from myself.
Yeah.
I think going years of being neglected from other people and also myself, it created a lot of internal issues that manifested in ways similar to your car breaking down on the side of the road. But if I had probably done what you do and constantly checking on myself, it might not have happened, or maybe wouldn't have been as severe. And I know a lot of people are dealing with that. Like autoimmune conditions are, it seems like skyrocketing. I don't know if it's just because of more awareness or if we really do have more of an issue with autoimmune, but with as much as women are working now and pushing themselves and still having families and taking care of things at home, I wonder if that's contributing.
I'm sure to a certain extent that it is, as well as, like you said, environmental factors, diet, processed foods. I would not, don't crucify me. Vaccines. I'm just saying.
No, I'm there with you.
So I wouldn't doubt that all of those things contribute to it.
Jess was just asking if we explained the ego. She said her shadows lived its best life.
So, not a Webster's dictionary explanation, but to me, the ego is the facade that we typically show others. It's what we want to come off as, what we want to be perceived as. You know how I'm going astro. So we have our sun sign, and we have that's who we are, and then we have our moon sign, that's our emotions, and then you have your ascendant, and that's the way you present yourself to the world. I feel like your presentation is your ego. And not all ego is like toxic ego. Because I mean, you don't get anywhere playing humble pie. But I feel like the mask that we wear is the ego. So that Prem put together, I got this, and ain't nothing wrong over here, you know. The denial, the part of you that doesn't want to look human. You know, I feel like to a certain extent, we all have this piece of ourselves that wants to look more than human, that wants to look superhuman. I used to call it the Stepford wife. You know, like you're prim and polished, and your house is immaculate, and your kids is shiny and clean. And you know, you just have that image where everything has its place.
Right.
And inside, like you're hollow, and everything is shambles and falling apart. It's almost like buying a brand new car and then having them put like a 40-year-old motor in it. Like it looks good, but it's not going to take you very far.
Right.
What is the ego to you?
I think for me, I think your ego is very much your mind. If we're thinking about the two ways that you can think with your head or you can think with your heart. And I feel like your heart and your gut are kind of an intuitive thinking. Somewhat. Because I know your heart can kind of play tricks on you as well. But that's a whole nother topic. But I feel like your ego is kind of working double duty. Like it's your protection mechanism. But it also is, like you said, like everything you want to be.
Yeah.
Everything, your dreams of what you want people to look at you as. Like, I don't remember, I've read this many times throughout the years in different places about how Virgos are perfectionists, but a lot of that is externally. So they're very good at looking like they are all put together and everything's perfect, but on the inside they're a hot mess. Or secretly they're a hot mess. And I can see that. I could see ego being that, but how I've always kind of envisioned it is like the whole angel devil on your shoulders, and the devil that's greedy and lustful and sinful, or whatever word you want to use. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's more your ego talking. Is your intuition is like your voice of reason. You could say logic versus. I guess there's a lot of ways to look at it.
I think so. And just listening to you speak actually even brought another layer of it up for me. I believe that the ego is easily triggered by other people. The ego is not from a place of compassion. I feel like the ego is the person that's like, who the fuck does she think she is coming in here wearing that skirt? Or look at her that's over there telling all those people what she wants. She's so this. And like that is the ego. But really what people don't realize is that the traits that are that you're triggered by, typically it's not okay. Sometimes people just have bad manners, point blank. I mean, spade a spade. Not everybody is, out here functioning in love and compassion and light.
Right.
But in cases where it's like they're just living their life and you're so bothered by them, typically your ego or your shadow, one of the two, is triggered by that person because they exhibit a quality you wish you had. And your ego says, yes, your ego says, I can't let them be great because then that means there's something wrong with me.
It's like, it's almost like all the like 7 deadly sins, like your ego kind of embodies all of that. And I mean, it's not all bad because I mean, everyone wants to be great. Your ego definitely can push you to do things that you might not have done otherwise. But I think the most important part is balancing the two, because you need a healthy dose of both.
I agree.
If you just live based on intuition alone, you might be incredibly happy and you might be living in your car if you have one, or a tent on the side of the road. So I think it's important. Temperance. It's important to have both and embrace the duality.
Yeah. Making peace with the ego and the shadow.
Recognizing, I listened to a podcast. I wish I knew the name of it. But it was 2 ladies. And they did a whole podcast on ego versus intuition and how to know who it is that's telling you something. And one of them recommended actually writing it out. She had a name for her ego and a name for her intuition.
Yeah.
And she would actually write out the thoughts that she was having and try to place where were they coming from? Like, am I having this thought? Is this so I don't get hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Is this fear-based in any way? Is this jealousy-based? Is this, like, where is this coming from? And then being able to recognize if it is ego, will it help me to continue with this thought process?
Mm-hmm.
Is it serving me to allow my ego to influence me right now?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then you can recognize it and stop it. I think she was talking about like bigger things, like things that were really weighing heavily on her.
What would you name your ego? I know it doesn't really matter, but
for some reason, okay, so I'm extremely positive that my Aries side is a dude. Like,
okay.
My Aries is a dude, and that's probably my ego. And then my Virgo side is a female, and I don't know, she might be quite a bit of ego too. She has a lot going on. It actually might be reversed. My Aries might actually be more intuition, and my Virgo might be ego. I don't know what I would name it. What would you?
You know, when I thought about it for that quick second, the first name that popped into my head was Vivica. I think my ego's name is Vivica.
Sassy. I don't know. For some reason, Sasha was the name that popped into my head, and I didn't want to say it.
No, that's okay. So, look,
it's such a sassy name.
It is.
That whole Beyonce, Sasha Fierce, like, just there's a lot of. It's very bold, but that's what popped into my head. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of attitude with the ego.
Yeah.
A lot of fear too.
Yeah. I think that I know that in particular, my shadow has, over the years, I've noticed that a lot of the things I've unpacked, the key term there was fear.
Mm-hmm.
In many different ways, but for whatever reason, like, there is a lot of fear under there. And I was actually, okay, hopefully she doesn't see this. If you do, I love you, Mom. I was talking with my mom today, and I forget what we were talking about, something. Okay, yeah. So my husband is going out with his boys, and she was like, "Oh my God, well, tell them if they're going to be riding, they better be careful, because that is uncharted terrain." And I was like, yo, you are such a Chicken Little. And it was like the light bulb went off over my head. And I said, you know what, Mom? You are afraid of everything. And it was in that moment that I saw, like, all this years of unpacking all of this shadowed fear was not purposely and not maliciously. It was very innocently programming from my childhood.
Right.
So I was like, I'm glad I'm seeing this now, because I would hate for my kids to have to get to 30 to start figuring out how to be bold, because they were indoctrinated with fear.
Right.
But yeah, that's been the key theme running, fear, and in many different ways.
I mean, how often do you hear a woman say, and it's almost always women, like, you rarely ever hear a man say, I'm turning into my mother.
Yeah.
Or I'm turning into my father, even though most times they very do very much do take on a lot of those traits. But you hear women saying that all the time. Oh my God, I'm turning into my mom, or oh, I better never turn into my mother. But unless you can recognize those patterns and figure out why you're doing it and put in the work to overcome it and stop doing it, you do turn into your mother.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think most people in our parents' generation, I don't think a lot of them ever got to that realization.
No.
And I think a lot of them are their mothers now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very hurt by that or in denial about that. But I feel like that is such a shame, to be in your 50s, 60s and not understand why you've done the things that you've done with your life.
Yeah. I'm probably very, I think that I would struggle with having peace if that was the case for me. I know that even in moments where I've done things that I may look back on and be like, I'm not a saint. And no matter what I do with my life or how evolved I am, I'm still human.
Right.
I mean, be like, you know what, Brittany, that was not in love. Shame, shame, shame. That was not compassion. That was not light. Or why the hell did you do that? What I'm able to make peace with is the after effect, where I sit down with myself and have that coming to Jesus moment, where I'm like, okay, this is where this came from.
Right.
And that's allowed me to make peace with so many things and then liberate myself, because I'm not walking around like second guessing and reliving 5-year-old conversations and 6-year-old actions and all these things that I would be carrying around with me. I just had the whole thought of the bag lady. Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back. So yeah, just not carrying all that stuff around with me, because I know why I did it. It might not have been right, but I know why I did it.
Right. On the flip side of that, I think one thing I've noticed that I personally did, and this is something my grandmother actually told me often when I was younger, a lot of times we overcorrect.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my mom threw things.
Yeah.
My mom yelled a lot. She still does both of those things. And that bothered me so much, I made it a point to not be that. And honestly, there might have been times, no, I'm not going to say might, there was definitely times where I should have yelled.
Yeah.
I had every right to be angry. I had every right to yell, but I made such a point in my life to suppress that I actually suppressed a lot of my emotions in general.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first 7 years of my marriage, I just sucked it all up.
Yeah.
Like if I was unhappy, suck it up. Sad, suck it up. Feel like he's doing something stupid, suck it up. Because I went the opposite route, because I didn't want to fight. I didn't want the confrontation. I didn't want to be what she was.
Yeah.
So, again, with the whole balance and temperance, you can very much go to the opposite extreme instead of finding the balance. And I know my grandma, growing up, she always said that her dad was extremely strict.
Mm-hmm.
And to make up for that, she was really lenient with her kids. And then my mom, since her mother was so lenient with her, my mom was extremely strict with the rest of us, because she blamed all of her childhood issues being on the fact that her mother was so lenient.
Yeah.
And then with me, I've tried to be balanced, but I think I've been a lot more lenient with my children.
Mm-hmm.
because of how harsh my childhood was. And it's really hard to know. I mean, none of us gets a manual, even though there's plenty of books, but they all contradict each other.
They do.
I don't know. Life's kind of a guessing game most of the time, but at least trying to find the balance and not just going with the pendulum swing, one extreme to the next.
Yeah, it's definitely about balance. And I think that as well, we have to start acknowledging ancestral cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Ancestral cycles are real. The mother line is real. And so when things are perpetuated through our family line or through our childhood, we carry them with us. And we're either going to, like you said, overcorrect, or we're going to turn into that. And I mean, this is not even just about child rearing. This is anything. You can come from a family where they just really bad with money. And so it's not like they don't make money, but they just can't hold on to it.
Right.
And if you don't identify that and say, okay, what's the course correction here? Like you got one or two things. You could become a shrewd and not spend $1. Right. And just hold on to it for dear life and have a very ugly relationship with money that's not healthy. Probably end up stressing yourself into a sickness, to some sort of stomach issues, because you're just so worried over every dollar that you spend. Or you'll be living that same life where it's just like, I keep making money, but I can't never hold on to it. Mm-hmm. And you have to really sit down, like, okay, where's the ancestral curse here? Like, and when I say curse, it's not like somebody went and put some hocus pocus on your great 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 granddaddy or anything like that. It's just the cycle itself. There's something there that something happened along the lines that shouldn't have happened, and it altered the course of history through your family.
Right.
And you have to choose to be the one to fix it.
Yeah. Until you're actually conscious of it, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't be conscious of it without doing the work.
Mm-hmm. And I think particularly right now, I know that we've talked a lot about the divine feminine awakening and rising that's going on right now. Particularly, a lot of women are being faced with fear, not because that is their natural trait, but because it is a motherline wound. It was not safe for your great grandmother or your grandmother or maybe even your mother to exert herself, or to be powerful, to be brave, to put herself out there, to maybe even to be seen. I mean, if we're talking about generations before us, like, there may have even been a time where our however many greats down the line grandmother, it wasn't safe for her to be noticed in a room, maybe. And so we don't realize that a lot of times that inability to speak up, that particularly that issue with your throat chakra is the mother line. Not always, but in most cases, it is the mother line.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because at some point you either sometimes it can be from having a parent who's got an overactive throat chakra, and other times it can be we just quiet. We're just quiet people. Well, why did you become quiet people? Probably because at some point it wasn't safe for you to share your voice. Mm-hmm. And women have been perpetually trained to be docile and quiet because it kept them safe.
Right.
So a lot of the fear that I know I was talking about with my mother, it's not just because she wants to be that way. She became that way because that's been her issue through her mother line. And
Well, that's similar to just biology in general.
yeah,
All animals, humans included, have a. Oh, yeah, she's looking at the card. She must be back where we were. But survival instincts are real. I mean, animals are born straight out of the womb already knowing things. So I feel like, of course, we have been imprinted on. There, you have to now recognize what survival mechanisms you don't need personally that were already imprinted on you at birth or throughout your childhood. And if you don't know where you got that mechanism from, you don't even know that you need to correct it most of the time. A lot of people just feel the way they feel and don't take time to figure out, why do I feel this way? Or where did this come from? Or do I still need to feel this way?
Yeah. Do I still need this shame? Do I still need this fear? Do I still need this anger? Ooh, anger is that's a hot button one.
That's a hard one.
Because it's stuff to be angry about in life, but it's also, is that anger productive?
My nails.
Huh? Typically I find that the anger hurts us more than it hurts anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, oftentimes we replay memories over and over again of things where we might have done something that we wish we could have done differently. Oftentimes the other person or people, they're not replaying that moment over again. It was what it was. And depending on what it was, of course, because I do think it might be a tad different for like your children. One small thing could really negatively impact a child. But I mean, on the whole, most of the time, like if you said something out of the way to a coworker or a spouse or a friend, they're not sitting there going over it a million times in their head. You are. So, I mean, you have to be able to forgive yourself and move on.
Yeah. And, I was taking a class at one time, and it was about mindfulness. And they said that the human brain cannot tell the difference between reality and imagination. That is why meditation, when done right, can be so particularly powerful, because your mind cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. So when we replay memories, typically we have to remember that our memories are skewed through filter. Perception is key, and not to discredit anyone's perception of their life. It's particularly not mine. I don't want mine discredited, but we have to understand that the truth is somewhere between the memory that you're replaying and what actually happened. And I find that the more you replay it, the worse it gets. And the crazy thing about it is, because your brain cannot tell the difference between reality and imagination, your body lets off the same hormones as it did when you were going through that issue. So if you're replaying an argument in your head, Literally, your body responds, all the cortisol, all the testosterone, all whatever's pumping through your body, all the adrenaline comes rushing back. If you're an assault, all of that pain, all of that hurt, all of the fear, all of it comes back. So literally, we injure by not being mindful of what we do with our minds. We injure ourselves over and over and over again. And actually, um, there's a book I want to mention. Okay, it's called the Four Agreements.
Okay.
By Don Miguel Ruiz, and the one, it's an amazing book. If you haven't read it, you should read it. If you don't like to read, it's on Audible, and you can listen to it in one day. And so he talks about this theory about how, we are just more evolved animals, but human beings are the only animals on the planet that shame ourselves for the same thing over and over and over again. And we enlist our communities, our friends, our family, our spouses to join in that shame. And so we are the only ones who do this, who we sit there and we replay it. We let our body go through all the same feelings all over again. It's getting worse and worse every time. And then we say, help me shame myself. And then we take that on as the energetic agreement of who we are. I mean, it's all of that is just mind blowing to me. It's
I told you about the book Becoming Superhuman by Dr. Dispenza, and he talks about something similar. That literally all of your feelings are chemicals.
Yeah.
Fear is a chemical in your brain. Love is a chemical in your brain. So whatever it is that you continually think about, you actually get addicted to that chemical. So if you are always playing the same thing over and over again about a fight, you become addicted to whatever that chemical balance is, the concoction that's going on in your brain, whether it's fear, whether it's anger, mixture of all these things. You become addicted to it, and then you keep replaying it even more because now your brain's actually craving that chemical mixture that it has. And he talks about that's why it's so hard to meditate for some people, most people, because you've trained your brain to accept that chemical and want that chemical all the time. And then when you try to still your mind, you can't, because your brain is going through withdrawals for that chemical. So it's going to put triggers in your head for you to think about whatever that is. And once you can recognize that and quiet it is when you have some control over it. But for me, that was really interesting. The same with fasting and understanding that hunger is just a chemical cue to your body. Once you understand that this isn't real, you can start to have some control over what you do with that next.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I try to be very mindful about what I watch. The chemical book, that was Becoming Superhuman by Dr. Dispenza, Joe Dispenza. For me, if I watch scary movies or I don't like a lot of dramas. I don't like medical dramas and like police crime stuff, because I don't want to get addicted to those emotions and those triggers. I prefer to either watch something that is uplifting in some way. I actually just prefer documentaries. If I could just watch documentaries, and not crime documentaries. Like, I just want history, because that's not really feeding into those pathways. But those things that really get you like riled up in some way, I try to stay away from those, because I get myself riled up enough. I don't need to add to it.
I agree with that. I really do. I find that as I've grown into a more peaceful state of being, for the most part, they really do kind of like rock your world. They bring you back to places you don't want to be. I have a really big thing about no end of the world movies. My husband thinks I'm crazy. I'm like
that with zombie stuff.
no end of the world movies. And I used to be like that about zombies until this year in particular, where shadow work really came to the forefront. And the first deck that I ever bought specifically for shadow work was the Tarot Z. And it's very confronting. And I think that I had to put it away because I wasn't ready to be that confronted.
Too much trigger?
I don't know if it was too much trigger, or I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. So I was like, you know what? It's a reason that they wanted me to have this. But
it's not time.
It's not time.
Get that.
But yeah, no end of the world movies, and nothing about missing children. And I understand these things happen in the world, but
you don't have to put it in the forefront of your brain all the time.
You have to resonate on it. And
right.
That actually reminds me of a thought. There was a couple years ago, I'm trying to think around, I think it was probably around 2014. There was a lot of like colonial style movies coming out, a lot of colonial American. So there was like a lot of 12 Years a Slave, Django, like all of these movies were coming out about the struggles of African Americans, about, the Black people in this country, our ancestors. And I forget where I saw it or who said it, but they said something along the lines of, it's not that I don't want to support these movies, but I need them to stop making this type of movie, because every time a Black person sits down and watches a movie like 12 Years a Slave or Django or anything of that nature, you're triggering that chemical trauma in your DNA.
Right.
Because we know that trauma literally affects and changes, it morphs the DNA. We carry trauma in our person.
Right.
And that's why ancestral trauma is real. And so I definitely get that. And from there, I had to start being more mindful, not just about watching movies that had to do with slavery or anything like that, but also police brutality, just anything that would trigger unnecessary chemical reactions in my being.
Right. I feel there's a couple of things about that. Like even Holocaust movies, like things like that, I'm torn on, because I think that it is historically, I think it is important for people that have not dealt with oppression, racism, genocide. I think it's very important to be able to see the struggle of other people. Unfortunately, movies like that, I don't know if everyone was forced to watch Roots in high school, but I feel like a lot of people either read the book or watched it at some point in their schooling. And it's one of those things that I almost feel like other cultures should have to watch stuff like that, because there is no way. She said she owns Roots. It, it was written by a guy in the Coast Guard, by the way. But there's no other way to really, for someone that is not empathic, to put themselves in and actually understand what that was. And as painful as it is to watch, like Schindler's List, those types of movies, I believe, are important to at least understand, but it's not something you should wallow in. You know, like, those are movies I never want to watch again, and I don't need to watch them again. It's not something that you want to have on repeat, you know?
Yeah.
But it's important to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. The other side to that is, like they say, you are a conglomeration of the 5 people closest to you. You are what you eat. You eat high vibe food, raises your vibration. If you're watching low vibe crap all the time, and I don't mean crap, but if you're watching stuff that is negative and going to bring down your vibration, you can't be high vibe.
Yeah.
You can't live in that, because every time you put that chemical back into your body, it's lowering you. So it's just something to be mindful of. I guess using things for educational purposes, more so entertainment, at least for that type of genre, which that shouldn't be entertainment anyway.
No, I don't think it shouldn't be.
So I mean, while I don't think that they should stop making movies like that completely, I don't think it's something that we need to dwell on overly. There's a lot less about how to fix what's happening.
Yeah.
As there is on pointing out the negatives. Like, what was that movie? Crash? Do you remember that one?
When did that come out?
I want to say early 2000s.
Okay, refresh me.
So it is a bunch, it's following around different people as they interact with each other. So it keeps cutting to these different people's lives. But I believe in the beginning, it starts with there's a car accident, and the car flips over, and the husband and wife, who were black, the car is completely flipped over, and the girl was stuck in her seatbelt, and the car was about to catch on fire. So actually, that might have been towards the end. Anyway, at some point, a white cop gropes on the black woman.
Okay.
And her husband was like powerless to do anything. But the whole movie is very racially charged, and not just black versus white. It's a recurring theme, and it's very triggering. It's a very triggering movie to watch, but it's a really good movie. Pearl Harbor, Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like these are good things to watch, but I almost feel like you need to cleanse yourself afterwards, you know? Like, balance out everything with something high vibe. Go meditate after you watch something like that. Or, you know, go ground yourself outside. Go do something to counteract and get rid of all of that, so that you're not just sitting there like steeping in that frequency.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that, you know, I feel like it's important to understand that, honestly, solutions don't sell TV shows. Solutions don't sell movies. Drama is what, excitement, adrenaline is what sells. And so because of that, we have to understand that unless we're actively changing what we watch, we're not going to see a shift in what's coming through our filter.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like choosing to boycott something. I mean, as long as you are still shopping at Walmart or, doing something that is supporting, no matter how much you don't believe in it and you're upset that they're taking advantage or outsourcing labor to China, if you're still shopping at places like that, they're going to keep selling shit.
Yeah, you're
and if you're still supporting the movies and watching them that maybe aren't the best for you and your mental health and your spiritual health, they're going to keep making them.
Yeah.
Um,
So what are some of your favorite ways to kind of boost your vibe? Like we started talking about, our vibe not resonating in low vibration. So yourself, like when you catch yourself, you're like, ooh, let me course correct.
So I actually have playlists on Spotify. I don't know if I've told you. I think I might have told you about them, but I have playlists for different frequencies. Pull it up. So the one I go to a lot is my Tolerate playlist. People are irritating the hell out of me. I will turn on some Tolerate and just block everything else out. So I have Light, which is 963 hertz. So I have a whole playlist of that. Source, frequencies to connect you to source. That's 852 hertz. I have Awaken, Tolerate. So Tolerate is 639 hertz. Repair. So that's actually like the miracle tone, repairing your DNA. And I swear to God, it works. I had a tooth infection that went away listening to that.
I believe it. Frequency is everything. Frequency is really everything.
I honestly feel like, and then I have like a healing, a cleansing, and a sadness one. So depending on what mood I am in and want to get out of, I'll turn that on. Those honestly help me a lot.
Yeah.
Like even just when my kids are irritating me, I'll put on some Tolerate and put my headphones on and zone out for 15 minutes. Sound baths. Yeah, like maybe I'm crazy, but eating a salad or eating an apple always seems to lift my mood. It's easy, but it's hard to just be mad when you're eating an apple. Like, I don't know, like
how can you be mad? Life is good.
it's all fresh and crisp. It doesn't even feel right. It doesn't go together. Those two energies don't go together. What about you?
I definitely do use a lot of frequency, whether it's from like playing on my phone or my computer, or using sound bowls or singing bowls or tuning forks. I love tuning forks because I will use them for like acupressure.
Really?
I'll strike them and then I'll place them certain places depending on what I'm trying to do. There's a I think it's called EFT. Basically, it's tapping.
Oh, okay.
So, and it seems so weird, but if you actually study it and you try it, it's the shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen videos, but I've never tried it.
So I finally tried it and I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. I'm just over here like tapping on myself, speaking and tapping. then we go right here and we do, I was like, oh wow, and you look a little crazy, but you could do this anywhere.
Right.
I also, when I really need to just kind of get out of some energy, I shamanic dance, which so a lot of people know what a shamanic journey is, and if you tend to be a person who is on a shamanic path, you may go into meditation journeys. Well, when you shamanic dance, you turn on similar drumming tracks. They're a little bit, they may be a little bit more lively. You blindfold yourself and you dance as you journey.
Really?
Yes. And it is I don't want to say it's the most amazing thing, but it's very amazing. It's very amazing. I love it. I always feel so good when I'm done.
You do this outside? Where does this take place so you don't hurt yourself?
Typically, I do it in my living room because, I have space and I can see everything. Well, my eyes are covered, so I can't see everything, but I know where everything is. So right. you want to make sure you're in a space where it's like you got some room if you take a step one way or the other. But I typically do it in my home where I can kind of control the environment. I'm not going to like step on a squirrel or something.
Not the squirrel.
I can't stand squirrels.
Really?
I can't. Oh, I hate squirrels.
I love squirrels.
I
had to catch one in a box, a baby, in my last apartment. It kept getting stuck on the patio door on the screen, and it would climb itself all the way up to the top of the screen and couldn't get back down. So I caught it in a box and tried to put it on the tree, and its dumbass ran right back up there again. Like, I can't help you if you don't want to get help.
Oh my God. Oh, I don't know what it's about. I don't know what it is about squirrels. I just don't like them. God bless them. I don't like them. Maybe I need to try to look at that.
What about chipmunks?
The
same thing to you?
I don't know. I've never seen one in real life.
Oh, really?
No, I've only seen Chip and Dale. They might though. I don't know. I hope not.
So you said looking at flames to calm down. What does that do for you? I'm curious. Does flames help you?
Help, Jess?
No, you.
No, flames don't help me. I sometimes use staring into a flame as like a meditative tool.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily have a calming effect. I think that the calming may be a side effect because of the mental concentration you're putting into looking into the flame.
I'm just curious because I know how you are with the whole candle thing. So
yeah, I mean, I love fire in a contained way.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a fire pit out back, and I use it very often. I love to have myself a good fire ceremony. I've seen one too many jars shatter from some candle work to not be respecting the flame. And I don't even know if it's the flame that worries me as much as the glass, because when that glass explodes, it's like, psh. But yeah, so I love shamanic dancing. Other than that, probably like you said, eating high vibe foods. I have been recently practicing a style of tantric meditation where you harness the energy coming into your body through the earth or your root chakra and pulling it up through your body. And that typically makes me feel a lot better. It makes me feel very powerful and high vibe.
I get that. I I don't know. I almost wonder if that's one reason why I keep getting so guided to do the whole vegetarian vegan thing, because I almost need it to raise my vibe up, because
It could be. It really could.
it's very interesting.
Oh yes, Jess, the sound of water. I like
Yeah.
I like to listen to whales sing.
Oh.
So I will turn on some dolphin whale music.
Mhm.
My house, the whole house should just be sounding like you're in well, not SeaWorld, that makes me sad. But it just sounds like you're in the ocean.
See, for me, it's crickets. The sound of nighttime or like early morning is kind of birds, crickets, and water.
Oh, I like birds.
Yeah, or of course thunderstorms, because I love weather. But I never found the crickets.
I like to dance in the thunderstorms, in the rain. It's always, my neighbors look at me like I'm crazy because I'll run outside. I have my little bucket. I like to collect rainwater so I can use it for like rituals and stuff. And then I'll just be dancing outside in the rain. But it's so refreshing. You feel like so energetically clean when you come inside.
Yeah. I love rain. I'm one of those weird people that wants to see a tornado, like not up close, not too close, just from afar.
Yeah, I don't know about the tornado. You know, I've had a lot of dreams throughout the years about tsunamis.
Okay, so that was a fear of mine, and I did have dreams about that when I lived in Hawaii. I lived at the top of the island in the mountains, and usually when there was a tsunami warning, I had to go to the beach. So everyone would be evacuating up the mountain, and you just see all these cars going up the mountain, and my ass is driving down the mountain towards the water. And that was a dream I had a lot of, just like a huge wave coming. Of course, it never happened, thankfully. But that was a real fear. Hurricanes, yeah, I love hurricanes. I don't know. I shouldn't. I mean, they're terrible, but I do. I get it.
How much, I think, do you think to a certain extent the love of like hurricanes, maybe not tornadoes, because I know like they rip through like a little faster, but I think the energy that comes about when you have an approaching hurricane, to me, outside of the sound of the rain and the wind, it's similar to preparing for a big snowstorm. So it's just like all of life slows down and you just hunker down and stay put. And so I've wondered throughout the years, is it really that I enjoy these natural occurring, like very terrible events? Or is it that I enjoy the slowing down? And what I find is I enjoy that feeling of the slowing down, nothing to do, no one to see, nowhere to go.
I can see that. Very similar to what we're going through now, or coming out of now with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's very much, I'm sure partially that, but it's kind of like awe-inspiring for me. Even just like huge clouds, like things like that. It's mesmerizing, like just the power of the earth, and being able to witness something that incredible and that powerful, and I mean destructive, but still really beautiful. I think I'm very much drawn to that.
Yeah. I can imagine, I can see that, because it is, weather in general is an amazing thing. And when we take a step back and we look at like what Mother Nature can do,
Mm.
whether it's out of love, out of anger, because I really feel like sometimes with these storms, there's so much emotion in them.
Right.
That it's a marvel. It really is a marvel. And I think that it makes you feel a little bit more human, looking in the eyes of something so marvelous. And that it just reminds me of like the need to maintain like our humanness. Are we frozen? Yeah, I think Dominique froze. I definitely agree with you, though. Coronavirus did, in a way, really help slow life down, and I really appreciated it. I appreciated the time with my family and being able to focus on what really matters. I know that a lot of people got the same message where it was kind of like 2020 is going to show us what, that family is all that we need. Oh, I thought she was for a second too, Jess. But for a second, I thought I froze. Um, but this time was needed. The world needed to slow down to a certain extent. Yes, family is all we need. Family is all we need. And we also need to resonate on our own humanity and compassion. She just texted me. I think she lost internet. I'm sorry. 1 second. Um, but yeah, I think that, I mean, COVID has been devastating to so many people and so many families. And I don't take that lightly. But I do believe that it also had its blessings. And that's definitely important to remember. Okay, I'm so sorry. I was just trying to see if I can get her logged back in. Um, but yeah, hopefully throughout this experience, we become more compassionate human beings and we bring back our humanity. That is what the world is lacking, is humanity. And that's what we really need. I got my little Jericho rose right here. It opened up really fast. It actually was just dried and balled up like right before we started the broadcast. But I don't know. I just felt like I needed to put it in some water tonight and let it do its thing. I'm not sure why. Yes, we need to bring humanity in to save the world. Humanity is so necessary. And just understanding that it can always be worse, um, because it can. And I know that it sounds so like such an oxymoron to say that it can always be worse, but it really can. It really can be. And we, outside of social justice issues, okay, here we go. You're back.
I'm back on my phone.
Yay. I didn't know if you were going to be able to make it back or not.
Well, we have no Wi-Fi, so this is
That's
gonna be.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Well, you're looking very pretty in that light.
Oh, thank you. I need to take a shower.
Oh, is that the bad bitch? Or is that
No.
the mystic? The mystic bad bitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do an interview spread that I still haven't done with it.
Do you consecrate your deck?
Kind of, sort of, in my own way, I guess.
Are you comfortable sharing, or?
For me, I am very much about just using my own power and my own energy.
Yeah.
And I usually meditate with the deck and send it white light.
Yeah.
And cleanse anything negative that might be on it. And just ask my guides to bless it.
Yeah.
Is usually about it. If I feel called to, I might sage it.
Yeah.
But that's rare. There, what was it? The Rebel deck.
Yeah.
The Rebel Unicorn one. I felt the need to sage that one like 3 times before I would start using it. I don't know what it was about that deck.
I wonder what that was about.
I don't know. It also had a very strange smell at first when I got it. So,
is it produced by US Games?
I don't know.
I know this is gonna sound really weird, but I kind of feel like US Games decks have a funny smell.
I have no idea. It doesn't have any branding on it for anything. Yeah. But I don't know, something about it, it didn't feel right.
Yeah, I know that's my herb crafter had like a really funky chemical-ish smell to it when I first got it. And I mean, it's wild because I still battle that smell, and I've stuffed the box with herbs. I've put essential oils on it. I've smudged it a billion times. And I actually, it's one of the reasons why I don't touch the deck as often. Maybe it would help if I took it out of its box, but
I don't know. I tried that with this one. I left it out of the box. I even like fanned it out.
Yeah.
And just let it sit for like a day or 2 and just try to air it out. Because it almost smells like burning plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a good smell at all. And it does still smell like it faintly, but it's not as bad. It was overpowering when I first got it.
Yeah.
Which is probably one reason, that and the fact that whatever the energy was that I didn't like, I don't use this as much as I want to use it.
Yeah.
Because I actually really do like this.
Don't you hate that? It's like you really like it, you want to use it, and it's just like you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know, but every time I do feel called to use it, it has a really good message. So it serves its purpose for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a kick ass deck. It's a kick in the ass.
It really is. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with this one.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't.
become friends.
I think you will. I know for me, I have developed quite a like little ritual for myself
Mm-hmm.
when I get a new deck. Um, I've developed a like a prayer or like a blessing that I say over the deck. I like sat
Mm-hmm.
with myself for like a whole evening, and it's all about like infusing it with wisdom, clarity, truth, sacred knowledge, and love. Um, and so I cleanse it. I go through that. I may put certain crystals with it or an essential oil on it if I feel like I need to. But I'm always really careful with that because the oils can mess up the cards if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for a while, I tried out this whole like ritual thing where it was like fire and water, and I was like, that's not really for me. Um, but I literally sit there and like hold the cards and like I charge them with Reiki and I'll ask them to hold a conversation with me and not even like while shuffling or pulling cards, just like whatever comes into my mind. I name each and every one of my decks, or
Really?
yeah, each and every one of them. I don't know if I name them or I feel like they tell me their names. This is Vincent. I know it's like it's weird, but I don't know. It works for me. And there's even been times where I hear a name come up, and it may even be a name I've never even heard of. Um, and I'll go and I'll look it up, and then I'll look back at what the interview spread was for that deck, and the name will attribute to what I saw in that spread. I just didn't know it then.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. I love when you get stuff like that.
Yeah.
It always freaks me out just a little bit. I still don't think that I'm completely used to some of the messages or words or weird things that I get, but it's really cool.
It is. It is very cool. This is my Jericho rose.
I was gonna ask you what that was.
Yeah, it's a Jericho rose. So you saw how like when we first got on, it was like a big tumbleweed.
Yeah.
You put it in water and it like opens up and it's supposed to be very protective, cleansing. It's also used as like a sign for change and transformation because it goes through the whole opening and closing thing. And I don't know, I just like their energy. They have a good vibe to them. Every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, I pull them out. I have a few of them. You have to replace them every once in a while. I used this one during, I was actually doing a ritual for a client, and I used them as um, like, uh, I don't want to say for cleansing of what I wasn't doing anything dark. It was just like protective work, and I used them with it. And I had to end up tossing out a couple because they got like powdery mildew on them. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And I still can't explain it. I was just like, I think that that was their way of letting me know that like all their juju was gone. They had done their job and there was no life left. So I thanked them for their service and put them back to the earth.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I need to play with more stuff like that. I'm in my experimenting phase still.
I don't think you're ever done experimenting.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like forever.
Oh, the little witches rooms, though.
Yes.
I don't know. They just feel good to me. Are yours feeling better now? Are they still?
They're still under my pillow, but I will say that once I changed the bag, I felt an immediate shift with them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So I don't know, maybe it had something to do with all that tool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're still under my pillow. I think that, I don't know, I think at some point I may do something to them. Maybe I'll like add some gold leafing to the line work. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Just to kind of like add some dimension.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still sitting under them and the Mother Peace deck. The Mother Peace deck has actually been under my pillow for like 2 weeks now. I don't know why I put her there, but she's happy there and I'm happy with her there. So I guess it's no point in moving it.
Whatever works. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've pulled cards. It's been a few days.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. It's been a few days.
I think that it's good to have those type of breaks though, because they allow us to kind of settle into our energy and just kind of integrate ourselves.
I'm over here. I'm starting to get tired.
Girl, look, we didn't pass our 1 hour mark. I'm thinking that pretty soon here it's gonna be time to. Ooh, is that the train?
Yeah.
Very pretty. I think that we should pull a card for the collective and then say au revoir.
I think that's a good idea.
And I don't know why I was called to use these.
What are you using?
These are the chakra reading cards by Rochelle Sharman.
Oh, wow. That's a glossy book.
It's a glossy deck. So these are the bags.
Those are pretty.
And the fronts, they got a good amount of shine on them. They kind of remind me of the Psychic Heart tarot. I know it's called a tarot, but to me it's an oracle.
Yeah, it has a few extras in it too.
Yeah, but this is based fully on chakras. So the card we got is grounding.
Of course.
Grounding. Which is very fitting because I feel like we've talked about grounding a lot. And then being in Mercury retrograde right now, I think it's very important to maintain proper grounding with all that's going on. Mercury retrograde, just not letting yourself be pulled into the cosmos and get lost. Okay, collective.
I think that's important. I was trying to find this card. I've never pulled this card before. 2 popped out. So
Ooh.
This one says release.
Oh, and look at that. Is that Is that a tree?
A,
A frog. Ooh.
it's a frog, and he's standing on. I can't tell what that is. The type of flower.
Yeah.
It almost looks like the top of a palm tree, but I know it's not. And then the creator.
Oh,
but I've never gotten a card before.
That I love that creator.
I just love this deck in general. The imagery is so pretty, but I want to read the creator one because I'm curious what it says.
I'm so sorry, Jess. We had some spammers. We're gonna get better about monitoring the comments.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even read what was said.
Well, I didn't see any of that either. So
I don't, girl, it looked crazy. I don't know what that was.
So the creator card, it says it finds us when we need to move the raw and pure energy in our body and allow it to physically manifest. To be with creation is to simply interpret that which is already. There are no rules for creation. This card may also indicate a time where you need to protect your creative work. The balanced creator has lots of energy and finds inspiration easily.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do like that.
I've literally card before.
Yeah, I like that. And I can see how it is so important to protect what you have going on right now, for all of us, because we are in really. Oh, wow. So I guess before I blocked you know what, we're not going to give that any airtime because hate will not be tolerated on this channel. You know, it's 2020. Hate should have never been tolerated to begin with, but hate will not be tolerated here. If you leave negative, nasty comments about any race, you will be blocked. About any person, you will be blocked. This is a respectful and safe forum. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I think I'm sure it's something we'll have to keep dealing with. Unfortunately, because there's some interesting people that need more light in their lives. But I think that it's pretty obvious what you and I are attempting to do with this channel.
Yeah.
So
look, we need to. But it's so fitting that this happens, and then we get, because these flew out right before I saw what was happening. And we have You've Got the Love, Hadarian Energy, Codependency, and Boundaries. So yes, the 9 Muses is for everyone, but we have boundaries. They have been set along with grounding everybody. Make sure you set your boundaries. Cosmic Heart, Devotion, Potency, Make Your Life a Moving Prayer.
Now I understand why this creator card came out.
Why?
It says this card may also indicate a time where you need to protect your creative work.
Yeah. Very interesting. So yeah, everything that we're doing is about, we want to raise consciousness and vibration and love, and we believe that yes, things have to change, but they need to change in a progressive and an ally forming way. So this is a channel about love. This channel is a moving prayer. Allow your life to move as a prayer. And then a new earth, it's happening. Keep holding vision.
I love that card.
So even with all that hate, y'all who will not be named, we're trying to spread, it's still happening.
There's trolls. It's the internet.
Oh yeah, there's trolls everywhere. It's definitely trolls everywhere. We might at some point need to just get us a moderator when we get there. I don't think we're there yet.
No, it's usually just the three of us at this point.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, there's people here. Surprise!
Not people that we wanted, but
exactly,
probably people that need the message.
Probably so.
Hey, you can only receive at your level of consciousness. You can only comprehend it at the level you're at.
Yes, but you know what? That's okay, because there's such a thing as planting seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so important that we don't allow ourselves to become so upset that we step outside of ourselves with such negative people, because they may never wake up, but there's a chance that you may plant a seed, and that seed may one day grow.
Let's hope.
Yes, I'm going to hope, because we're going to resonate on peace and divine wisdom.
Those are pretty.
They are. I wish you could see them better. And there we go. So peace.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And divine wisdom.
I like those.
Yes. So peace is our message for the night. I pray that everybody has a really great weekend. Stay safe. Stay on your grounding and your boundaries. Maintain your peace. Lean not on your own understanding.
Mm-hmm. And take care of yourself first.
Yes. Heal thyself. Take care of yourself first. And we will, at some point next week, be back.
Yes, we will.
All righty. I'm about ready to call it a night. How about you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.